Happy Vlogmas Day 22! Yesterday I was taking pictures of my cakes. My flowers, my wafer paper flowers, wilted very badly. And the reason for that, my cake was outside when it rained and I didn't prevent it from melting. I wasn't so careful. I wanted to keep the color and I didn't use any cornstarch on my flowers, which resulted into my wafer paper melting. So let's fix it together. So you can see my flowers are all misshapen and wilted and do not look as presentable as I would like them to look like. So to fix my wafer paper flowers, I will need to use a few simple tools. I'm going to use my mini steamer, which will help me to reshape my flowers. I'm going to use this heat gun. This is a very fun tool, especially if you're making wafer paper flowers. To help my flowers to maintain its shape, I'm going to use this sponge wedges. And of course, I will have to use a lot of cornstarch and I will need to use some wafer paper glue, which is just wafer paper melted in water if I need to fix some of the petals. And the first step is to bring our flowers back to their shape. So we have to add moisture, but we have to add moisture in a way we can control. I do this with my mini steamer. It's a cold steamer. I will link it below. And it will help me to make my wafer paper petals flexible again without breaking them. So I can move it around and I can help my flower to get back in shape. Unfortunately, one of the petals were broken while I was trying to shape it, so I will put just a touch of wafer paper glue and stick it to the previous layer to make sure it's going to stay in place and not going to fall off. And my secret tool are these triangular cosmetic sponges. I cut them in a little pieces like this and I reuse them 1,000 times to help my flower to be more open and to separate my petals while drying. And I will put my sponges in between my layers, my petals, to create a separation and give my flower more movement and a better shape than just a flat wafer paper flower. I would prefer to leave it to dry just upside down on a rug, but if I'm in a rush, especially if I'm at a location, I use my heat gun and I gently dry my flower. But be careful with that because you may over dry your flower and wafer paper will become very fragile and crunchy. And when my flower is all dry and is giving this beautiful shape, so much better than it was before, I will be a little bit more generous with my cornstarch application. Just a touch on my brush, barely any cornstarch visible on my black brush, and I'm going to cover all my petals on all sides because cornstarch will prevent your wafer paper from melting. It will prevent your wafer paper petals from absorbing moisture from the environment, so it's not going to wilt. And that's the step I skipped last time. And that's it. It's still flexible, it's beautiful, and it can go back on a cake. Now, if you are in a rush, you can do the same exact process on your cake without taking your flowers off the cake. The same step-by-step process. You need to apply moisture to be able to reshape your petals. Just be mindful of how much moisture you're applying. The next step is to use your heat gun to help it dry, because we are keeping our flowers on a cake, and apply a generous amount of cornstarch with your brush to prevent this from happening again. And now my flowers are back on the cake and it looks so much better. I feel so much more confident that I can take pictures of this cake and post it in my portfolio. I hope this was helpful. I am going to assemble these flowers on all the other cakes because some of the flowers were from that cake. That's how I fixed my flowers, and I'll see you tomorrow for our Vlogmas Q&A. So if you have any questions you want me to answer, leave them in a comment and I'll answer them tomorrow.